Thank you for taking the time to attend Engagement Through Events, 50 Tips in 50 Minutes. Everything that we are going to be discussing today will keep the membership life cycle in mind. So you see that here on the screen. When we're talking about events, this really does filter into several of the different phases, including making an introduction, recruiting new members, induction, orientation, and involvement. So a large portion of the membership life cycle will take into consideration events that may be necessary in order to make each of these steps successful. We'll go ahead and start with our very first tip, which is don't spend most of the chapter budget on one event. So some events are a little easier to do this than others, one of those being the actual induction ceremony. Depending on how formal you go and what food and refreshments that you might be providing, it can be very easy to spend a lot of money on that one event. So the idea is to spread the love, make sure that you are providing events that meet multiple membership segments' needs. So not just for your candidates, but what are all of your other active members getting from this event, which their dues are helping to pay for. Number 2, appoint a program planning committee. The bylaws do give your chapter permission to appoint committees as needed and as necessary to complete your work. So one of them that can be really helpful when it comes to events is a program planning committee, because they can help you with some of the aspects, some of the administrative tasks that might typically fall to the vice president as the person who is responsible for helping to plan these programs. Maybe you ask them to help with some of the financial components, or with finding a venue, or with actually putting the program itself together. Number 3, align events with your strategic goals. So are you trying to increase your acceptance rate? Is it your retention rate? Is it both of them? Making sure that you have some goals in place so that your programs and events can help to meet those needs. Number 4, another committee that's good to put in place, not just for programs, but just overall, is a finance committee. This group would be working with the treasurer, and they can help to create a budget for each event, which would then be plugged into the overall budget numbers that the treasurer is reporting on at each board meeting. Number 5 is to host a Twitter chat. So essentially all you need to do is create a hashtag, and as a chapter or as an individual representing your chapter, you will use that hashtag to post questions and answers for members who are following along to use as well. So just as an example here of one that I personally attended last year, we were talking, the vendor was called Higher Logic, so the hashtag was HLLearn, and we were talking about writing tips. So you can follow along with the hashtag here, HLLearn, and see the various tips that were provided as part of this conversation. So I didn't know Molly or Caitlin, but I was able to follow along with the conversation and the tips that they were providing just using that hashtag. We have seen some chapters who have executed this successfully, and we try to share those examples in the All Chapter Officers work group. Just to give you some examples of some hashtags that might be fun, you want them to be short. You only have 140 characters, so you don't want your hashtag to take up too much of the space. So depending on your chapter name, it could be something easy like Gamma Chat. I like alliteration, so you can see Ta Tweets and Lambda Live in there as examples, as well as Live at 5, which would indicate the time that this was taking place. So another committee that is a great one to have and help share the workload that our board has taken on, and they already have plenty to work on, and that is having a publicity committee who can help to put together your publicity plan. This will include each event as well as any chapter initiatives or successes that you will be highlighting throughout the year. And one tip that isn't included in here, but that I would recommend as part of all of these committees and finding volunteers for each of them, is using your chapter website that's hosted by the Circle, because you can now set up volunteer opportunities that are specific to your chapter and ask people to apply for them. So if you're trying to find committee members for a particular committee, put them in that portal. That will help them to earn recognition, and it will put all of the STTI volunteer opportunities in one place. So you'll have many more eyes who are viewing your open opportunities. Another suggestion is having one event each year open to non-members. So this can help create some awareness around your chapter and the activities that you have, create a buzz around how well your events are done and your topics, without giving away the full membership experience. So if I don't ever have to join your chapter in order to take advantage of everything that you provide, why would I join the chapter? So it's a balance between having something that's open to your non-members and tempting them a little bit without giving everything away. This tip kind of goes in with the conversation that we had around your strategic goals. So before planning an event and actually putting it on the calendar, be sure to ask yourselves whether this will be a direct benefit to your membership. So is it just someone's personal passion that they wanted to execute this event, or is this something that your members have actually asked you for and have indicated an interest in and will actually make it to the event to make it worthwhile of your time and of the members' time? This tip comes right from a chapter example. We do have at least one chapter who every single month their members are putting on a lunch and learn session, and they sign up well in advance for a particular month. They're always held at the same time and in the same location, and it can be on any topic. So while a lot of them tend to be nursing related, if there's a member who really wants to present on how to knit, and that's something that people have expressed an interest in, then they could do a session on how to knit. Number 10, have a standard post-event survey. And you'll want to have this in place for at least a year so you can gather the same information. So when you do your member surveys, you can ask them the types of questions on that survey about planning for the future events. So just some sample questions that might be good to ask. What went well? How could we improve? Do you have any additional comments or suggestions for future program topics? So these are samples that you will be asked after today's session because we do use those organizationally for our strategic planning and our chapter and member sessions to make sure that we're providing you with everything you need to be successful in your role. And it's a good idea to send that survey as close to the time of the event as possible. So while everyone still remembers that the sessions they attended and what they thought of the presenters, before they get too ingrained back in home and life and all of their work, making sure that you're able to ask them those questions. So 1 to 2 weeks is usually a good time frame. That gives you enough time to actually get it sent, and it allows the members to remember what happened to be able to respond accordingly. Number 12, partner with chapters in your region to expand your reach and your budget. So each of you have a regional officer connect group in the circle, and it's all of the chapter leaders in just your region. So if you're thinking about putting an event together and you need some help, you need some more volunteers, you need more money, you need some additional brain power, post that question out in your Regional Officer Connect group and see what other chapters might be willing to partner with you to make this a reality for you. Number 13, there's a professional organization that I belong to who does this quite frequently in Indianapolis. They ask local hotels and restaurants to provide a space for social events, and they ask for it for free. Doesn't hurt to ask. The worst thing someone can say is no, but a lot of them will do it depending on the date and the timing. So if it doesn't interfere with, a wedding or a busy weekend in the city. They like to do this because then they get their name put on sponsorship materials, and they have people coming in who would potentially eat at their restaurant or stay at their hotel or host their wedding or some other event where they would need the space in the future. So they like to get in front of those individuals. I like it from an attendee perspective because it lets me go places in Indianapolis that I might not otherwise have a chance to make it to. If you're looking for topic ideas, there is a list of global health days on the World Health Organization website. So just as an example, World AIDS Day is on the 1st of December. So if you wanted to host something around that event, then that's a good global celebration and helps to meet the mission of the organization as well. Number 15, this is something that we hope your chapter is accomplishing every single year, which is a member survey. So asking them how you can meet their needs, this will help you to plan your events for the future. Just a sample question, what are the top 3 professional challenges you are facing right now? So that you can maybe provide a program around one of the challenges that is common for half of your members, for example. We know about 60% of our members are clinicians, so you may see some commonalities in their responses and be able to provide something back to them based on those challenges that they're facing. Our next tip is to use event registration software. So this will help to collect the names and information of the people who are planning on attending so you can get a good head count for your event. I do have some examples. Eventbrite and Eventzilla. If you're not asking for it to collect money on your behalf, then it's free to use these platforms. So one way, if you wanted to charge for it, is to ask for money at the door. So, maybe bring a check or bring cash if that's something that you're accepting, if you're wanting to charge people for attending. If it's just a social event where you're not charging your members, then you can just include those details in the software. Otherwise, if you're wanting to use it as a payment collector, then you're going to be seeing charges of around $1 a person, as well as a credit card processing fee around 3%. And then there was one that I found called paperless transactions. This is a little more high tech. So if you have several large events throughout the year, this might be a route to consider so that it takes the pressure off of your chapter leaders. And something like this has a monthly fee, which starts at $25 a month. Number 17 is just a fun idea, having a happy hour on the day and hour your chapter was chartered. So If it's been 11 years and you're chartered at 6 p.m., then have a happy hour for that anniversary. You can ask people, what are you happy about in your career? And we're going to recognize your accomplishments from the last year. Or it could just be a social happy hour where everyone gets one drink ticket if they're interested in a drink at the bar. Just something fun to celebrate together as a group without any doesn't necessarily need to have any additional objectives or educational constraints, just pure celebration. Number 18 is one that we forget about often, which is to give your event a good name. So don't call it a member engagement event because that doesn't mean anything to your members. We have one chapter who shared that their members, they called it that, and their members thought somebody was engaged to be married and that's what they were celebrating. Member engagement event is what it means to you as a chapter, but that's not what it actually is for the members. So to give you some tips on how to come up with a good title, and this is from an article called 4 Strategies for Creating Titles That Jump Off the Page. You want them to be pink. They can make a promise, so 50 tips in 50 minutes is the promise from today's title. They create intrigue. I saw one called The 7 Wonders That Will Change Your Life. They identify a need, the total money makeover, a proven plan for financial fitness, or they simply state the content, why we get fat. Or this is very easy in the nursing world to explain what it is that is being discussed as far as the nursing content goes. So don't call it recruitment event or engagement event or anything of that nature that's telling you as the chapter leader what the purpose of the event is, because that won't mean anything to your end user. We touched on this a little bit with our space sponsor and asking hotels and restaurants, but there are so many other people who may be willing to be a sponsor, whether it's a monetary donation, if it's food and beverage, gift cards, goodie bags, door prizes, one free night at a local hotel. I've seen like wine baskets. This might be something that's good for a silent auction. It could be just a, hey, I talked to this person and they're willing to donate a $25 gift certificate to their location, and maybe that's a door prize at your next event or a raffle. You know, I'm from a smaller community and a lot of the businesses are always willing to, especially the newer ones, to donate something because they want to help get their name out there. So try and think of cupcake restaurants or places that make cakes or cookies, or even like hair salons and t-shirt shops, anything in your community who, you know, again, it doesn't hurt to ask. You can always hold on to it for a door prize or to put volunteer gifts together or something of that nature. Our next tip is to try different types of events. So if you have members who have said they're very interested in certain educational topics or research topics, you can try them out in a few different ways. We're all familiar with the speech or plenary speakers, but trying out discussion panels or even roundtable discussions, discussion groups in your chapter website or a book club, journal club, even just a lunch or coffee group that would get together at a certain frequency to talk about a specific article or specific nursing area. This is a piece of feedback that has come straight back from events that we have put on where it's been very well received. Make sure there are mints out during networking events because people are doing a lot of talking. Sometimes they're drinking coffee or they're eating, and it's just a good idea to have those mints available for people who are planning on networking later in the day. Number 22, record sessions and post them on your website to extend your member reach. So try and think of how you can take an existing event that you've already put all of this work and time into and turn it into a benefit for those who were not able to attend. So if my membership dues are helping to pay for 6 events this year and I can't make it to any of them, what am I getting for my membership dues? So that might just be recording a plenary. It might be recording pieces of the events or highlights and posting them. But if you post it on your chapter website that's hosted in the circle, only your active members will have access to that content. You can remind them as a member benefit you wanted to provide this information for those who were unable to attend. So it is Nurses Week right now, so happy Nurses Week to all of you. This might be something to save for next year, but consider partnering with a local hospital to complete some sort of community activity for Nurses Week. We always say everybody knows a nurse, so it's really great to partner with those hospitals because it helps to put nursing in a good light as well as your chapter in the organization. Our next tip is to browse the Virginia Henderson Global Nursing e-repository to find potential speakers in your chapter or in your area. You may even consider setting up a chapter-specific collection that members can add to so that you'd be able to find them in the future. So just to show you what the repository looks like, you can browse by the specific type of community. So if you do have a chapter community set up, you could browse that. You could browse by a specific author. So if you know somebody who lives in your area, who you're interested in seeing the type of research they've posted, you can search by author or even by subject or keyword or things like that. So I think it's interesting to see what has been submitted, and you might be able to create a connection with that individual to get them to speak on something that your members may have asked to see. Number 25, this plays into for your members who are not able to attend in-person events, or maybe even your university's program is more virtual in nature to where it does make it difficult to get everybody together. Try hosting virtual events periodically. You can use a webinar platform such as the one we're using today, which is GoToWebinar, or even something like Skype. And there are also some free versions where you can play around and see what might work for you. Some people even kind of software jump, where they might try free trials of several different software platforms to see which works best for you. And there are many platforms that offer a free version, or even if it's a month, where we're going to try this month, and a couple of months from now we're going to try this one. You might settle on one of the free ones, you might settle on one of the ones that has a cost, but you can get through several months and several events before you would even get to a point where you would need to pay. Number 27, surprise attendees with door prizes and giveaways. This might not necessarily incentivize someone to attend from the beginning, but it helps to kind of create a fun environment, helps create a buzz during events. So it'll be a happy surprise for those who are able to attend. If they come, they receive a ticket for a potential door prize or giveaway that you've put together. If you need any ideas, try Pinterest. There are so many cute ideas out there on the site. We also have STTI collateral that you might be interested in giving away, especially if it's an induction and they're new members and they're excited about joining. 10 new members are going to win an STTI mug or a license plate frame. And then I saw a lot of food-related ones. We love our Nurses to Pieces. They had Reese's Pieces in there. You're a lifesaver. Thanks for all you do. These would also be good for Nurses Week if you put together goodie bags for the local hospitals or for your members. Things that aren't too expensive and that they're just fun to give away at the door. The lifesavers would also work well for networking events for your mints. Our next tip is to use established community service events as an opportunity to bring your members together. So you don't always have to be the host. It's your role to bring your members together around something they're interested in or that meets their needs. So you don't always have to be the person who is providing that. You're just providing the connection point. So maybe it's Habitat for Humanity or Race for the Cure team or something that is, going to help. A lot of people may already be planning on attending, so why not attend as a member of your chapter? Don't forget about your local visitors bureau. They will know all of the new venues, restaurants. This can be really good resource if you're looking for sponsors or for a new location for an event if you've outgrown your current location. Check in with your visitors bureau to see what's changed in your community within the last couple of years. Number 30 is to have a welcoming team at every event. So this can be just a handful of people who their sole responsibility for that event is to greet people, maybe hand out name tags. If they see someone walks in who looks a little bit lost, asking them if they need help or pointing them out where to go, maybe even helping to make introductions on people's behalf. So it can be intimidating to walk into a room and not know anybody. So if you can help be the conduit to introduce those individuals, the whole point is for them to create a welcoming environment. So you want people who are social and friendly and not intimidated to approach people that they don't know. One tip, if possible, watch for other industry or community events when you're scheduling. So one good idea, we have our biennial convention coming up at the end of October into November. So don't plan a chapter event for that same weekend because you may have a large section of your membership who plans on attending convention. If there are other big nursing events, the Magnet Conference or things of that nature, just being aware of when those industry events are taking place so that you can avoid those same weekends so your members aren't having to choose between something they might need to attend for their job versus a chapter event. At every event, ask your board members to stand and introduce themselves, even just to say their name and their role. Sometimes our average member who doesn't get to come to a lot of events, they don't always know who the board members are. If there's been an election recently, which there's one every single year, then they might not know who is new or what role people are serving in. So it's just a good reminder to say, here are our leaders of the chapter. These are the people who are responsible for helping to bring us together today. So next we have for you to develop an event-specific hashtag and remind attendees to use it. So at Leadership Connection, where we originally presented this session, the hashtag was STTILC16, and you saw that hashtag everywhere. So people who were on Twitter knew to use it. Even if you don't personally have a Twitter account or know what it's about, it's still a good idea to create one and to post it around and let those conversations happen online. So attendees can quote each other, they can have conversations, they can share photos without having to know everybody who's in the room. Number 34, at each event have a sign up of small volunteer roles for the next event. This would be a perfect opportunity if you're able to have a laptop or some kind of tablet with you. If you set up your opportunity on your chapter website beforehand, you could have people sign into the site in real time and apply for that next event opportunity so that they can be part of the excitement of creating the next event. And that will help to build your volunteer pool. So when you're looking for committees in the future, and you can say, okay, this person has helped at 6 events this year, maybe they'd be interested in being on our publicity committee, or even being a secretary or some chapter leader role. Number 35, give early bird incentives. So the first 20 to register get. Maybe it's a discount, maybe it's a physical gift, maybe it's the first 20 people at the door. Going back to those sponsorships and those prizes that you've been collecting, this would be a good opportunity to then give them away. So maybe you got a good discount on a book that's new from STTI in the first, and your events around that same topical area, and the first 20 people who register get a copy of that book. Number 36, once a year have a friends and family event. This may be the only event some of your members can make it to, especially if they're, they're just starting their family, if they're getting married, having children, and they're not able to find a sitter or take off work. It may be the only event that they're able to make it to. So Delta Xi chapter, I don't know if anyone is here from that chapter at Kent State University, they did a friends and family event near the end of last year that was kind of fall related, where they got to bring children, spouses, friends, and they all went to a corn maze together and participated in some of those fall activities just as a group. So again, you don't have to always provide nursing content. Sometimes your events can purely be a way for people to gather as members of your chapter, get to know each other, and bring their friends and family, because then we know that they want to spend time with those people for sure, and hopefully they'll be sharing that experience with your chapter. Number 37, try to take pictures during your events and save them so that you can use them in the promotion for the next similar event. So if you have a big conference every year, every 2 years, take pictures, even if it's just with an iPhone or your digital camera. If you have a photo storage site such as Flickr or SmugMug, upload those afterwards, and then the publicity committee or the secretary can come back to them next year and use some of those images for the next event. Of a really good way to capture how much fun everybody is having, how much they're learning, and everything that's taking place during your event. Number 38 is just a reminder to have fun. Attitude is contagious. It can be very easy to forget this piece, especially when you have put this event together, you've spent all this time. If things don't go well or you have to pull out your plan B, it can be hard to force yourself to have fun, but just trying to have that contagious attitude so that your attendees will never know what it is that happened. Which segues us right into having a plan B for those inevitable things that will go wrong. So taking your event, walking through, here's everything that's going to happen, and making a 2-column list. what could go wrong and what is our contingency plan. Maybe the sound system fails, or your keynote speaker suddenly can't make it. Maybe instead we're going to do roundtable discussions. We're going to take her talking points that she was supposed to talk about, turn those into questions, and we're going to put one question at each table, and we'll rotate the tables throughout the room. Another good idea is to try to think of every detail and being able to communicate well in advance. So where should people park? Maybe they need directions. Is there a dress code? Is there are guests allowed? What is the cost? So don't assume that members will have that knowledge, even if you think, well, it's on campus. Maybe they've never been to campus before and they transferred from another chapter. They're new to the area. So just assume that your members are unaware of all of those details and communicate them as much as possible. Make people much more comfortable and less anxious about actually getting to the event. Our next tip is to make sure you have adequate insurance. So you do have just a standard liability insurance through STTI. If you need to talk to the chapter services area about what that includes, and if you think it's a good idea to purchase additional insurance for an upcoming event, they'd be happy to discuss that with you to make sure that you feel comfortable with the insurance that you have in the case of an accident. Number 42, milestones can be even more festive and fun when a creative theme is chosen to set the tone. So just some examples, and have an 80s party if you're a chapter chartered in the 1980s. We had a chapter who did a wine and wigs for water fundraiser. It was for water.org, and everyone was asked to wear a wig to be entered, and they had different competitions. Obviously not everybody had to wear one, but those who did, it was just a fun way to kind of break the ice. And again, they also like alliteration apparently because they had wine and wigs for water. It's just a fun, something that's a little different, but it was other than your average fundraiser. And then if you have any national or regional festivities or holidays coming up that you can plan around, such as Mardi Gras or Independence Day or things like that, if your event falls around one of those timelines, there will be people who do love to dress up and go overboard. Number 43, develop a checklist for each event that includes responsibilities. So we maybe just have a standard event checklist in place, kind of a pre-planning, planning during the event, after the event, to make sure that you have everything covered, and then that can be altered depending on the needs of the event. So if you have one that's a little bit larger and requires some more advanced preparation than some of the smaller or the social events without the same objectives and outcomes, then those can be adapted for that specific event. If you have an event you'd really like to do and make it over the top, but you don't have the funds for it, have a fundraiser and try to think of items that non-members would like. So you're already asking your members to pay their dues. So we don't want to assume that they will be willing or able to give more money. So maybe it's something we can sell in the community. So we're asking people in our community to buy to help fundraise for our chapter. Just some suggestions, t-shirts or items that are specific to nursing that maybe you could sell around Nurses Week or leading up to Nurses Week so that you can say, hey, make sure you have your I Love a Nurse t-shirt for Nurses Week so that you can wear it and show the nurse in your life how much they mean to you. Discount cards for community restaurants, host a CPR class, sell concessions at a local event, maybe have a photographer. There's a chance that someone in your chapter knows a photographer who would be willing to donate a couple of hours of time where you could sell professional headshots to people at a hospital or university so they can come and get their new headshots taken for $5 or $10. Number 45, buy in bulk whenever possible. So plates, napkins, utensils, snacks, if that's something that you're going to have, buy those in bulk when you can and save them for your next event. Number 46, incorporate a networking component into every event. So while not every event is going to be focused on networking, provide that opportunity so that people can get to know each other and really create those lasting relationships with each other and with your chapter so that they remember that when it comes time to renew of all of the wonderful people that you've introduced them to and the relationship that they've built with the chapter will start to become invaluable. Number 47, this is something I've seen some chapters do. Instead of handing out business cards with their personal information, maybe you just put your chapter website on there or other contact information for the chapter so that that individual knows how to get a hold of someone at the chapter. So, you know, that leadership changes, but if you send them to your chapter website, there's a list of the chapter leaders on there that is in real time. So just having that chapter-specific contact information on the business card. This is really good for potential members, for new members, or for those who are considering renewing their membership. Another tip is to involve the community during International Nurses Day, which is coming up on Friday, because again, everybody knows a nurse. So whether it's a children's coloring contest and it's a picture of a nurse or a picture of the hospital and you're going to choose a winner for a ticket to the Children's Museum. But thinking of a way to involve the community, again, to put nursing into a good light and for the entire community, and that will reach far beyond just the members of your chapter. Number 49, just a reminder, people love to eat, so whenever possible, that might be their favorite thing of the event, and that's okay, because again, you've created that lasting impression on them. Number 50, personally and publicly thank your volunteers who served at events. So personally sending a message to your volunteers to thank them for their time, as well as publicly thanking your volunteers who are serving and who made that event possible. Number 51, under promise and over deliver. So I knew I could make it to 50 tips today, so that was the amount that I promised. But if you can provide more than that, then it will be a pleasant surprise for everybody. Number 52, wherever possible, update sponsors on the impact of their donation. So if someone provided a monetary donation that's quite large, and let's say it was for water.org, like our chapter example from before, and that purchased X amount, being able to provide that back to them to show them this is the way your dollars had a real change on this person's life or the chapter or this charity that we have been working with. This is the real money that, overall we got X amount of donations, which has had this impact. People like being able to be part of something that is bigger than them, and if they donate money and then never hear about it, they might not be as excited to donate in the future. Number 53, use in-person events as an opportunity to get video testimonials. So if you have a quiet room that you've blocked off, even just using your iPhone and just recording some quick little snippets of, what did you like about this event? What do you like about your membership? What benefit do you use the most? Trying to think of questions of that nature and just using the best one. You can upload them to YouTube if you'd like and use that in your next event promotion or post it on your chapter website if it's a good membership testimonial. And usually events, people are excited, they've been networking, they've usually had something to eat, so they tend to be in a good mood, and that's when you can get some really good quotes from people. Number 54, save time by downloading templates. We have so many templates and samples available for you in the All Chapter Officers work group, so take advantage of that. If there's something you're looking for and you don't see, post that question in the All Chapter Officers work group, because if there is a chapter who does have an example for you, they're usually more than willing to share it with everybody. Number 55, have a calendar of events on your website that is at least 6 months in advance. Even if all you know are the date and time, maybe even location, put it on your calendar, because as far in advance as members can know if they have to take off work or if they have to find a babysitter or if it's a friends and family event and their friends and family have to take off work, the more notice that you give, the higher the chances are that people will be able to make it. Number 56, every so often, make sure you invite special guests, maybe the local dean or the chief nursing officer. They may not always be able to attend, but it's nice to remind them of your chapter's influence within the school and within the community, and that they can be a part of that. I wanted to share again for your reference. The article was called 4 Strategies for Creating Titles That Jump Off the Page, if you're looking to have some better titles for your chapter events. Which leaves us a few minutes for questions if you do have any. I'm also going to go ahead and pull up the All Chapter Officers work group for those of you who have not had a chance to visit it, to show you where a lot of these samples and templates and items that we've talked about today can be found. If you sign into the circle, which is the circle.nursingsociety.org, when you are added to your officer and committee chair report in the management system, it automatically gives you access to the All Chapter Officers work group. You'll find that by clicking on Groups from the purple toolbar and then My Groups, which is the second item down. The link to the All Chapter Officers work group will be right near the top. These are in alphabetical order. On the home page, you'll notice in the announcements, anything that is really time sensitive or new will be added here to the announcements. There will also always be a link to the management system, which is where you update your leader roster, you submit your news for STTI Connect, you access the online induction system, the print-on-demand system. And anytime we ask you to submit something to headquarters, such as your chapter annual report or changes to your dues, that's going to take place in the management system. And then if you'd like to meet virtually with staff on any chapter topic, there will also always be a link to the consultation request form within the announcements as well. Personally, I find it easiest to navigate the group using these purple tabs near the top of the workgroup page. Anything posted in the discussions will go into a moderated forum where staff can approve. Basically, we'll just make sure that your question applies to every chapter leader within the organization. So if you're looking for a specific sample or you want to know what a chapter does in a specific instance for their event, you're welcome to ask that question here in the discussion forum. And really, it's the library tab that has the majority of the content for you. When you click on library, scroll all the way down, you can see that everything is categorized into folders. You can also use this search box right above the word folders to type in your search phrase if you're not interested in reading through each of these folders. So just as an example, let's say you're looking for something related to an upcoming induction ceremony. That can be found in the counselors folder because the counselor is responsible, according to the bylaws, for the induction ceremony. So that includes if you're looking for the induction slides, those are changed at least once a year. So there's a good chance that you need to download a new set each time. We also have one folder dedicated to samples and templates. So you can scroll through those and see if there's anything that applies to what you're looking for. This is also where you can find some more information, and Karen, this might address your question on setting up some volunteer opportunities on your chapter website. So within the sustainability pyramid, which is more of your by topic resources, one of the folders is called Volunteer for Leadership. So you can find some more information about implementing a successful chapter volunteer program so that you don't have the same 5 people around the table who are planning everything, executing everything, planning the next everything. That's just too much work for that amount of people. So it really does require some buildup of your volunteer program and setting up of opportunities on your chapter website. So since we've launched this new program, we have seen a lot of members who we haven't personally interacted with before who are very excited to volunteer for the organization, and that includes for your chapter. So trying to think of some new ways to involve people, maybe as a webmaster, if you're looking for someone to help with social media, those are perfect opportunities for people to kind of get introduced to your chapter because they don't require necessarily attendance during a specific time. That can be done at their convenience if they have an odd work schedule, and they can still feel involved without always making it to in-person events. And then we also have an event calendar within the work group where you can browse important dates, upcoming webcasts. There are some around your particular roles that are coming up. So if you are a president or president-elect, we hope that you are able to attend one of those 2 webcasts. And you'll see vice president, secretary are also on the schedule, as well as making the most of your Circle website coming up in July.